Hi, it's Debbie O'Connor from LetsLocalise here, and today I'm with Chris Parham from St Issey Church of England Primary School in Cornwall. Hello, Chris.
Hi Debbie, nice to see you.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, really well, thank you. Yeah, it's Friday, got that Friday feeling.
Friday is always good, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about St Issey. What kind of a school is it?
Right, so St Issey is I guess what you would call a very small rural coastal Church of England school. Those are the sort of key characteristics for us. Yeah, I mean, when I say very small, I've been here for 2.5, 3 years now. I took over with 29 children in the school, and I'm led to believe that we were one child away from closing the doors of the school altogether, which is terrible, really. I mean, the school was only built in 2007, so it would have been a tremendous waste of taxpayers' money, if nothing else, and a tragedy for the community. Happily, that situation has changed, and we're now into 74 children. So we are rapidly expanding, and I'm just in the process now, actually, of putting together some funding to extend the school for an additional classroom, which we will need in 4 years' time with the present situation.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I took over here, I had 3 children in reception. This year, I've had 21 applications for reception. So it's a very, in fact, I think we are officially the fastest growing school in Cornwall. That's proportionately, obviously,
Of course.
to the size of the overall school. So yeah, it's exciting times here, and yeah, it's a really lovely little community, and yeah, everything was going great guns, and then unfortunately COVID came along, and like everything else, it's changed our priorities, our immediate
Yeah.
priorities.
So has that given you some extra challenges then?
COVID has given us lots of extra challenges, and I mean, I think we've been fortunate. Certainly, compared to large areas of the country, we've had lots of we've had a relatively small amount of COVID compared to other areas of the country. So I feel I don't want to overplay that, but I think that sense of worry and fear is just as real here amongst our population and our community as it is anywhere else. And actually, certainly during the second wave now, the prevalence of it is very similar to the national picture. So certainly during the first lockdown back in January, it did provide some challenges to us. I think we were fortunate in lots of ways. We'd already, at that point in time, invested in Google Classroom, so we were already using that in our lessons. As part of the challenge of teaching 3 years in one class at the same time, we found Google Classroom was a really good way of allowing some children to do different work whilst we taught other children at the same time. So actually we were relatively well placed in terms of going online at that point. But our problem primarily has always been a problem of funding.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so it's something I wasn't aware of when I took over here. I mean, I knew that we were in deficit, so we had a deficit budget, and I knew that the school was in trouble. It had a fairly scathing Ofsted, and pupil numbers were falling. As we started to turn that picture around, what I became acutely aware of was this phenomenon of lag funding, which is designed to protect schools when their roles are falling, you see, so that they can have a bit of time to make necessary changes to staffing and the like. But of course, the flip side of that is when your role is rising, you're not being funded for the children that you actually have. So I've got over 40% of my children in the school joined us in the last 2 years. And I've got a situation this year, for instance, where I'm being funded for 52 children and I have 74 children on roll. So the proportionate impact on our budget is significant, and that's why, you know, I'm a teaching head. I teach 3 days a week in addition to being the head teacher of the school. Yeah, we have to be very smart with the way that we do anything, really.
Mm-hmm. So have you found that joining Let's Localise has helped with that at all?
Yes, definitely. I mean, one of the main strategies that we that we sort of prioritized when we started working here with this school and this community was really celebrating the kind of great educational opportunities which we provided to our children here. And you won't be able to see it very well, but on the wall behind us here are all of the kind of things which we get up to on a regular basis, certainly in a pre-COVID world, and hopefully in a not too distant post-COVID world as well. So we really pushed big on social media. We've got a massive Facebook following, certainly proportionate to the size of the school. So we had a lot of what I would say was untapped supporters out there, and that's really what appealed to me about Let's Localise, was the ability to reach those, because just trying to fundraise, you know, I mean, obviously COVID, the other aspect of COVID it kind of prevents us from doing all the types of fundraising which we would ordinarily do. So, you know, our village, our school fairs and those sort of things. So yeah, it was a real sort of good find, because it came for us at exactly the right time. We had no recourse to traditional fundraising. We had a big supporter base, but we weren't able to reach them in a particularly conducive way. And that is really the link that Let's Localise has provided, is a way of bridging that gap between ourselves and that wide support base that we've generated out there.
So how did you go about reaching out to the support base? What's the best bit about it?
Well, I mean, so Let's Localise, for a start, it was very productive, conducive meetings with the staff of Let's Localise to start with, discussing the nature of the school, our particular challenges, and thinking about how we could reach out to that base. And I think one of the key areas that we did, and it really, again, it was a virtue of the time, really. It sort of played into that online quizzing, which most of the country had been doing during that first lockdown anyway, as a way of maintaining their sanity. So we sort of tapped into that, and that was one of the things that the Let's Localise platform, one of the main ways, one of the main drivers really of getting those email addresses effectively into the platform. So we did 2 or 3 online quizzes, and each time built a following up. I think we've got 55 people from our parental wider community linked to our Let's Localise site, which, when you consider we've only got 74 children in the school,
that's very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah. And again, really, that was through having that significant Facebook following. So anything that we were posting on Facebook was getting exposure to quite a large audience there.
So then after you did the quizzes, I understand you put up a couple of campaigns then. Yeah,
I mean, as I said earlier on to you, Debbie, we had about 6 Chromebooks in the school. I think we had 4 iPads. And that was kind of okay when we had 29 kids in the school. But then suddenly, with these increased numbers, we had to find a way of really supporting our children. And although our sort of zone of deprivation index score certainly isn't the worst in the country. I mean, one of the key, there's certainly a lot of rural deprivation out here, and all of if you think about the industry of the area here, it's all tourism. And the one thing that COVID has done is absolutely decimated tourism. So a lot of people who were, you know, might have had a certain standard of living and found that standard of living to be less than they would expect. So yeah, ability to get online was a problem, and ability to use the platform that we had, Google Classroom, effectively was a problem. So yeah, I mean, the campaign that we launched was initially for 4 Chromebooks for just over £1,000. We incredibly reached our target within a week. And I had messages from parents and other people in the community saying, we didn't get the opportunity to donate. We'd like to donate. Could you run another campaign? So we thought about doing that. I mean, I think we were worried that, that we didn't want to be seen to be sort of, I don't know, profiteering or taking advantage of people or being greedy, really. I suppose that's how I was worried it would come across. But we did put another campaign up again for another 4 Chromebooks, and again we reached that target within another week. It was absolutely incredible. So the generosity from our school support base and the wider community was amazing. And then it was that kind of incredible thing there where we'd raised these £2,000 for these Chromebooks through LetsLocalise, and then the publicity that generated through Facebook and Instagram, social media channels, then led to other organisations like Rotary Club, the local Rotary Club, getting in touch with us and saying, "Well, we see that you're fundraising," and they gave us a further £500. So, I mean, we've now ordered, I think, 11 Chromebooks now. And we've distributed out to our children 18 Chromebooks. So, I mean, in my most recent online parent survey, I'm now pretty confident that all of my children have at least got access to a device. And in those larger families where there are more than 2 or 3 children, we've been able to give them 2 devices. So it's transformed their ability to engage with our online learning. So it's been an incredible success.
So I imagine you'll be doing some more. Have you got any more quizzes or events planned in the future, or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm very conscious of the fact that, I don't want to sort of overplay my hand as such, but yeah, we will be, we're going to be doing another quiz just after half term. Those have been really good fun. And I think the children like seeing, when they're at home with their mums and dads, they like to sort of see that they're up against their teachers and head teachers. And all of my staff have taken part in all of the quizzes very gamely. I was finally knocked off my perch in the last one, so disappointed to lose my title.
Oh, no.
We've got another one coming up just after half term, and it's just a way of keeping it in people's minds. And we have got, as I say, plans as the school to expand. We need to develop our outdoor learning provision. We've done lots of, certainly prior to COVID, we've made a real good start on that. But that is another area where we will need some funding for it in due course. So yeah, we will be using it again.
Excellent. Well, thank you very, very much for your time, Chris. It's been lovely speaking to you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do at LetsLocalise. Thank you for you and your team for all the work that you put in. That's certainly appreciated.
Thanks very much.